And a short while back, she in fact took oath of the office in Kathmandu, from being the first woman Chief Justice to the first woman Prime Minister. Nepal's Gen Z has entrusted the 73-year-old jurist to steer the country out of the crisis. After several rounds of negotiations between the army chief, a delegation of young protesters and the president, consensus was reached on Sushila Karki's name. Now, Sushila Karki is a top jurist who is known for her anti-corruption stance. She studied law from the Banaras Hindu University in India. She was appointed as a permanent judge to Nepal's Supreme Court in 2006. And after 10 years in the top court, she became Nepal's first woman Chief Justice. In 2017, she also faced impeachment, but later retired from the post. And now at the age of 73, Nepal's Gen Z is banking on her to usher in change. Now, more than 50 people, remember, have died in protests that engulfed the Himalayan nation, and over 2 days of protests. The rejection of the existing political elite was evident. Several government buildings, including the parliament, were set on fire. Leaders from all the political parties faced widespread public anger, and Nepal's parliament was dissolved. And under the current constitution, a fresh election needs to be called within the next 6 months of parliament's dissolution. All right, and our correspondent Saloni Murarka is joining us from Kathmandu over the phone line. Saloni, this is a big moment. Sushila Karki has been sworn in as the interim Prime Minister. What is the task that she has on her hand, and how does she intend to go about it?
First, while the swearing-in ceremony, it was announced that she has assured that elections will be held in 6 months, and she also aims to restore order. And well, this has been, she's acceptable to both youngsters and traditional political parties, because during the swearing-in ceremony, we did see the former Prime Minister Baburam Bhattarai present, and some of the diplomats were present as well. The Vice President was present there as well. So her challenge would be to first restore order and also announce elections, hold elections on time for that matter. That would be in March. So at this at the moment of deep crisis, many do believe that she would face biggest challenge and to guide Nepal through turmoil as a leader of an interim government. And many of the youngsters, of course, they welcome this decision. However, we know there are few fragments who are not happy with her appointment. And we'll have to see on how that pans out. And Nepal Army continues the curfew that was imposed in Kathmandu Valley. And we'll have to see if the curfew is extended or not due to the security concerns. But this has happened after several rounds of talks, intensive discussions that has been taking place for the past few days. And the army chief was the one who facilitated the discussion between the Gen Z's representatives and other stakeholders to decide on a name to lead the country. And finally, a name was decided and put forward. Yeah.
Indeed, it is of course going to be a huge task for Sushila Karki to bring in order and usher in the change, which the Gen Z is looking forward to. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those updates then. All right, let's now shift our attention to what is happening in the United States of America, where the 33-hour-long manhunt for the suspect in the shooting to death of the right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk has ended with the arrest of 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. The suspect, Tyler Robinson, was taken into custody following an intensive search by the FBI and the local law enforcement. But remember, it was the father of the accused who apparently turned in the killer to the police.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
So according to reports, this is what played out. That Tyler Robinson confessed to his father, Matt Robinson, who had served 27 years in Washington County Sheriff's Department. And amidst the arrest, Matt Robinson, the father of the suspect, was hailed as the father of justice. Now, according to reports, Tyler Robinson's mother works for Intermountain Support Coordination Service to help the disabled people receive care. And according to U.S. authorities, evidence collected includes messages that Robinson allegedly had sent to a social platform about retrieving a rifle from a hidden location. The officials also discovered some engravings on live rounds that were found with the suspected weapon. One bullet was allegedly inscribed with the words, "Hey fascist, catch." Now, authorities say that the weapon was the same type that was used in the attack. Now, the US law enforcement has confirmed that state and local officers have made the arrest late on Thursday in St. George, Utah. That's about 400 kilometers southwest of the Utah Valley University campus, where Charlie Kirk was shot dead 2 days earlier. The investigators had circulated photographs and videos from the scene, and the police say that the suspect blended in easily at the university because he looked like a typical student. They believe that he entered the campus just before noon, then climbed a stairwell and reached the roof to set up the attack. And on Wednesday, a 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who had rallied youth support for President Donald Trump, made an appearance at the Utah Valley University, and during the event, the gunman had fired a single fatal shot from the rooftop, striking Kirk in the neck. Emergency responders quickly rushed Kirk to a nearby hospital in order to try and save his life, but despite their best efforts, he succumbed to his injuries and was declared dead a few hours later. The outdoor event was part of Charlie Kirk's American Comeback Tour, which aimed to engage college students at the university campus across the nation. All right, now to give us more updates in terms of what is happening with this investigation, we are joined by my colleague Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York. Susan, I want to dwell on two aspects. Firstly, the weapon that was used in the shooting. What was this a licensed, legit gun, and how did the shooter come to acquire it? And what was the motive behind shooting dead Charlie Kirk?
Right. Regarding the weapon, Mohammed, it was a Mauser weapon, and what it is, it's a hunting weapon. Authorities say that he obtained that weapon illegally. It was not licensed. More that we know about the shooter, Utah Valley University said that he wasn't a student at the time of the shooting, but he did attend the university for one semester during 2021 as an engineering major. So those are the latest that are coming in. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your second question.
And also the motive behind the attack. What is it, that prompted this 22-year-old young man with no criminal antecedents to speak of at this moment?
Yeah.
Why did he decide to go kill Charlie Kirk in this college environment where he was interacting with other students?
Yeah, so according to a family member that had dinner recently with the shooter, Tyler Robinson, Robinson knew that Charlie Kirk was coming to Utah Valley University and said that he didn't like him. That family member and Robinson talked about how divisive he is and how they really didn't like his opinions. On the casing of the bullets that they found, there was "Hey Fascist," but then it was also a line of a song, "Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao," which is an apparent reference to an Italian song that was adopted back in World War II by the anti-fascist resistance movement. That song continues to play and resonate with anti-fascist movements, and still the Italian left sing it, for example, in Italy, during the anniversary of World War II. So, those are some of the hints that we have. But when we look at social media, I know we have a limited time. When you look at social media, you really look at his family's social media posts. In the past 13 years or so, his family himself, they have not posted anything political at all. It's just family photos. So,
right.
It seems like he was on a group called Discord, and he was talking
right.
with people that were anti-fascist. But we don't have a clear-cut message from authorities right now.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with all those updates. We'll, of course, come back to you as more updates emerge in the story. Now, the United Nations General Assembly has voted in favor of France and Saudi-backed New York Declaration, which lays the groundwork for the implementation of an Israel-Palestine two-state solution side by side. The text was adopted by 142 nations in favor, 10 against, and 12 abstentions. Now, the United States and Israel were amongst those nations who voted against the resolution to bring into existence a Palestinian state. The declaration also calls on Hamas to release all Israeli hostages, to end its rule in the Gaza Strip and to hand over its weapons to the Palestinian Authority. The UNGA vote comes ahead of the 22nd of September United Nations Summit co-chaired by Saudi Arabia and France, in which the French President Emmanuel Macron was promised to formally recognize the Palestinian state. And since Macron's declaration, 4 more countries, that is Britain, Canada, Australia and Belgium, have announced their intention to recognize a Palestinian state. Currently, 148 out of the 193 United Nations member states recognize a Palestinian state. However, the recognition will be largely symbolic. It will represent a strong moral and political statement, but very little will change on the ground. The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has vowed that Israel will not allow for the creation of the Palestinian state.
We said there would not be a Palestinian state, and we say again there won't be a Palestinian state. This place is ours. We will take care of our country and our security and our heritage.
Now, the Israeli military is closing in to seize Gaza City, and Netanyahu has approved a controversial settlement expansion plan in the West Bank in a bid to destroy any prospect of a future Palestinian state. And last month, the Israeli government had approved construction of 3,400 houses in E1, which is a 12 square kilometer area between East Jerusalem and the settlement of Male Adumin. Now, the critics have warned that this illegal settlement project, E1, will effectively block out the establishment of any viable Palestinian state as it seeks to cut off East Jerusalem from the rest of the contiguous Palestinian territory, which would include Ramallah, East Jerusalem and Bethlehem. In West Bank, the Israeli military has frequently been raiding into the Palestinian lands. Dozens of Palestinian men were rounded up. These are civilians who were rounded up and then detained for questioning. This is the manner in which the Palestinians were dealt with in West Bank's Tulkarm, where the Israeli military made them walk in this manner before they were questioned. The tensions between the US President Donald Trump's inner circle and seasoned diplomats have flared once again, and this time over the choice of Sergio Gore as the US ambassador to India. In an exclusive interview with WION, the former national security advisor to Trump, John Bolton, said that Trump's tariff policies have already damaged the US-India equation, and now Sergio Gore's appointment risks compounding the setback. Listen in to what was said.
Well, it would be a big mistake if that were true. Frankly, I'm surprised Sergio Gore knows where India is on a map. I don't really know what went into the thinking of the Trump administration to make this nomination. I've said repeatedly, I think the U.S.-India relationship is the most important one for us, for the world as a whole in this century. And what we ought to have is somebody who knows India well and can advance the relationship. And I don't have any confidence Sergio Gore is the right person.
And John Bolton also pointed out that with just a few years remaining in Trump's term, it is important to strengthen the US-India partnership in a deliberate and in a very strategic manner. And he said that any errors at this stage could actually undermine America's standing in the Indo-Pacific, especially as China's global challenge continues to grow sharper.
Well, I think it will have an impact in the long run. Hopefully it can be corrected. I think it's important to remember, although it seems like it'll be a long time, Trump only has 3.5 years left in office, less than that, actually. And the way he has performed, whether it's on tariffs, on India specifically, or on a range of other international matters, are not things that were debated in the 2024 campaign, not things voters of the United States have really spoken on. So I think we have to think of the long term here, because the long-term threat, both in the Indo-Pacific and really globally, is China. And it presents issues that we have to work together on, notwithstanding Trump's behavior.
A Ukrainian drone offensive against energy facilities in Russia has set off a fresh wave of counter-strikes. Reports say that the attack targeted Russia's northwestern port of Primorsk, setting fire to a vessel and also a pumping station. Now, the Primorsk port is the largest Russian oil loading port in the Baltic Sea, and Russia's military has said that its air defense systems intercepted and also destroyed nearly about 221 Ukrainian drones, including 9 over the Moscow region. Now, Russia has also hit back at Ukraine. It has carried out